Hi there and welcome to the Daily Arsenal News Show. Let's dive into today's top stories. Mikel Arteta simply can't rely on £45 million Arsenal player. He needs to move on. Mikel Arteta now needs to start planning for life at Arsenal without Thomas Partey if he wants to make consistent progress. Partey has been a brilliant signing for Arsenal over the past few seasons whilst he's been on the pitch. The £45 million midfielder is truly one of the world's elite progressive passers, a rare player who is capable of playing a single pivot. However, Partey simply hasn't been on the pitch enough. The Ghanaian has seemingly had more injuries than any other player since he joined the club, and there is no sign of change. And amid links to Aurelien Tchouameni, it now seems time for Arsenal and Arteta to move on from Partey. A project of this size and ambition simply can't rely on a pivotal piece that isn't consistently available due to injury. Moreover, it has now been revealed that Partey is considering his own future amid his perceived lack of game time. The midfielder was very disappointed not to start against Chelsea last Saturday as he watched Jorginho from the sidelines. It does seem a little harsh that Partey is lamenting his game time at Arsenal, a player who rarely ever misses the 11 when fit. And perhaps this is now just a situation where it's best for all parties to move on. One report today that suggests that Partey isn't likely to sign a new contract with Arsenal in the future, and that therefore could pave the way for Arteta to recruit a much more consistent alternative to Partey at Arsenal. Declan Rice was seen as a replacement for Partey by many fans in the summer. However, it would now seem that Arteta would prefer to play Rice as a number 8 on the left side of midfield, and therefore 23-year-old Chouamini's arrival in the Arsenal midfield would be a very welcome one. Every 11 that Arteta picks right now seems to be a very telling one for the future of several Arsenal players, and it will certainly be interesting to see who the Spaniard picks when his side host Sheffield United on Saturday. 26-year-old Arsenal player named in a Champions League Team of the Week after Sevilla display. Arsenal star Gabriel Jesus has been named in WhoScored's Champions League Team of the Week after his performance against Sevilla on Tuesday. Jesus was the only Arsenal player to feature in a side that include the likes of Kylian Mbappe and Harry Maguire. It's not been the easiest start to his second season at the club for Gabriel Jesus. An injury picked up on the eve of the season starting could have derailed his campaign immediately. However, Edin Keita deputized well in his place and he returned to action against Fulham. However, before Tuesday night's outing, Jesus only had 3 goals to his name. He had scored in both previous Champions League outings and scored a very late goal against Manchester United. Jesus showed his real quality against Sevilla, and it's no surprise the Arsenal star was then named in WhoScored's Team of the Week. The 26-year-old dropped deep to link up play perfectly at times with Gabriel Martinelli, the recipient of a phenomenal through ball in the first half. His goal to double Arsenal's lead showed that he's still an elite finisher, but Mikel Arteta will be desperate for him to do that more often now. The Brazilian star was named as one of the 2 center forwards alongside Porto striker Taremi after all 32 teams had been in action in midweek. Paul Merson says teams are going to start targeting 22-year-old Arsenal player now. Arsenal have proven to be impossible to beat in the Premier League so far this season, but they are far from being invulnerable. The Gunners may be yet to lose a game, but some of their performances this season have been less than impressive. The games against Nottingham Forest, Crystal Palace and Fulham stand out as underwhelming showings, and on other days, the results could have been different. Writing in his column on Sportskida, Paul Merson has been discussing another potential issue that is on the horizon for Arsenal. Indeed, Merson reckons that while Bukayo Saka is a fantastic player, teams are now going to start targeting him as a player they need to stop at all cost, as he is the beating heart of this Arsenal team. Merson shared his view on the youngster. He said, as for Bukayo Saka, he earned his reputation as one of the biggest match winners in the Premier League, so teams will start to highlight him. He's got to come up with solutions, as Marco Correa marked him out of the game the other day. Saka will be singled out by opposition managers when it comes to their team talks, and they might even double up on him. It's up to him to find solutions to make things happen for his team. While Arsenal are a lot more than just a one-man team at times, they do go through Saka quite a lot. It's not as simple as stopping Saka and stopping Arsenal, but if you do quieten the winger down, Arsenal aren't the same threat. Of course, stopping Saka is a task that is much easier said than done, but if you do have a plan to nullify his threat, you have a much greater chance of beating the Gunners. Saka is a brilliant player, but as with any brilliant player, teams will now head into games with a plan to stop him. Effective Arsenal player could be back from injury in 3 months. Arsenal have a handful of injury issues to deal with at the moment. Gabriel Jesus picked up a knock in midweek against Sevilla, while Thomas Partey missed that game with a muscle injury. Luckily, both of those players should be back soon, but sadly, the same can't be said for Julian Timber. The Dutchman picked up an ACL injury on the opening day of the season against Nottingham Forest, and he's not been seen since. However, according to Chris Whitley, speaking on Shots TV, the defender could be back in action in the new year, with the journalist claiming that a return in January isn't out of the question. Whitley shared what he knows about the effective defender. He said, he will be hoping to come back sooner rather than later. January is a possibility. He is pushing to get back fighting fit. He won't be rushed by Arsenal's medical staff. They will bring him back in good time. But January is a possibility for his return to light training. We will be watching out and hoping he is back soon. This would be great news for Arsenal if they can have Timber back for the second half of the season. Let's not forget, last term a lack of depth at the back is what cost Arsenal towards the end of the season, and Timber's return would immediately alleviate that issue. Timber was utterly fantastic during pre-season and at the beginning of the season in the Community Shield, and if he can return to that type of form, he will be a vital re-addition to this squad. Fingers crossed, Timber's recovery continues to go to plan, as the Dutchman could prove to be incredibly important player for Arsenal during the business end of the season. Arsenal's 27-year-old striker target likely to cost more than Erling Haaland and Ivan Toney. Arsenal have been linked with a move to sign Ollie Watkins from Aston Villa in 2024, but the striker will apparently cost a fortune. The Gunners have had a decent start to the season. They are still unbeaten in the Premier League, but their attack just hasn't been as fluid as it was last season. Many feel Arsenal need a new striker, and Watkins has been linked with a move to the Emirates. Aston Villa star Ollie Watkins has always been a good striker, but he has taken his game to a whole new level under old Arsenal boss Unai Emery. The Englishman has scored 8 goals and provided 5 assists in all competitions this season, and there is a chance he will have a number of suitors in January. Chris Whitley recently claimed on Shots TV that Arsenal like Watkins as well as Ivan Toney, and there is a chance the Gunners could make a move to sign him. However, journalist Neil Moxley reckons the 27-year-old England international, who Don Hutchinson thinks is better than Toney, will cost an absolute fortune for Arsenal or any other club. He told Give Me Sport, he is an extremely good and useful person to spearhead your attack. I was looking at his record, and in 130 appearances for Villa, he has over 50 goals now. He has a strike rate of zero point 0.4, so that's 2 every 5 games and 4 every 10. The top and bottom of it, he is guaranteeing you between 15 and 18 goals a season in the Premier League. How much do those strikers command these days, particularly at Watkins' sort of age? He is 27, so if somebody was going to come along right this very minute and try to offer a fee to entice Ollie Watkins out of Villa Park, I think you are going to be talking £75 million plus, if not a bit more, because Villa would want to be able to source a replacement. Arsenal watched amazing £17 million defender in a Champions League action this week. Arsenal are once again looking to add to their squad in January as they try to snatch the title away from Manchester City at the second attempt. The Gunners pushed City all the way last season but fell short since then. A summer of big investment had improved the squad, with the likes of Declan Rice and Kai Havertz arriving for big money. But it doesn't seem like the Gunners are done strengthening just yet. According to SportX, Arsenal are still keen on Galatasaray defender Sacha Boey and could look to test the waters again soon. SportX claims that Arsenal were in attendance to see Boey play well against Bayern München this week. Indeed, the report suggests the Gunners are in love with Bowie and are expected to make a bid in the region of £17 million for the defender. Of course, Arsenal's interest in Bowie is long-standing. They had eyes on him in the summer and are constantly watching him, with reports suggesting they'd also scouted him a few weeks ago as well. Bowie, dubbed an amazing player by Bakary Sagna, can play in both fullback positions if required. Whether or not he can make a dent on the first team, though, is another question. However, you can't question the credentials of the young defender. He is playing regularly for a top team in Turkey and is doing well in the Champions League as well. Certainly, there is a player in there when it comes to Sacha Boey, and Arsenal manager Mikel Arteta will fancy his chances at bringing him on even more. At £17 million, Bowie isn't exactly a hugely expensive risk either, and with Arsenal falling short last year, adding depth in January might well be the difference between success and not. Arsenal remain keen on physically strong fullback despite him signing a new contract. Arsenal are continuing to keep tabs on young Italian fullback Michael Coyote ahead of the next few transfer windows despite him signing a new contract. Coyote has been a player of interest to Arsenal and Manchester United recently, and reports have previously claimed the Gunners have been scouting him. However, he has recently signed a new contract, meaning an imminent move seems unlikely, but according to 90 Minute, Arsenal remain engaged on Coyote and could still look to explore a move in the coming windows. According to 90 Minute, Coyote is happy enough with Fiorentina and has signed fresh terms in the hope he keeps playing regular football. However, there is heavy interest from English clubs including Arsenal, Manchester United and Manchester City, while the likes of Barcelona are also keen. Coyote is apparently seen as a special talent by those onlooking clubs, and despite his new contract, moves could still be made. Arsenal are looking for a new fullback and have apparently been scouting Sacha Boey as well. Coyote, 19-year-old, ticks a lot of boxes, it seems, and is one for the future. Yes, recent windows have been about getting players in for the here and now for Arsenal, but there is still an element of looking to the future, and Coyote is a top youngster. Described as a player who fears nothing, Coyote looks firmly on course for a big career in the game. Arsenal have just made £85 million Real Madrid player their number one transfer target. Arsenal boss Mikel Arteta has reportedly just made Real Madrid star Aurelien Tchouameni his number one transfer target in 2024. The Gunners boss is already thinking of how to strengthen his squad, and a new midfielder seems to be high up on his wish list. Football transfers claim Real Madrid's Chouamini is the man Arteta wants at Arsenal before the start of next season. Arsenal will have to splash some big cash to improve their midfield in the summer. The Gunners currently have plenty of options in the middle of their park, but there is a big chance they will lose three of their players at the end of the season. Jorginho and Elneny will both be free agents this summer, while there have been plenty of rumors about Thomas Partey leaving the club too. Arsenal will need a top quality midfielder if that happens, and football transfers claim Real Madrid star Aurelien Chouamini is Mikel Arteta's number one transfer target. It has been claimed that Arteta wants to pair the Frenchman and Declan Rice in the middle of the park. He also reportedly sees Chouamini thriving in front of his international teammate William Saliba at Arsenal. The report adds that Arsenal inquired about signing the midfielder last summer, but Real Madrid were not ready to let him go. That stance could change next year to help them out with FFP as they plan to spend big on their own targets. Aurelien Chouamini is one of the most talented midfielders of his age in Europe, and Real Madrid beat a number of clubs, including Liverpool, for his signature last year. The Galacticos agreed to pay Monaco a eye-watering £85 million for Chouamini, and it's no surprise at all they weren't willing to let him go after just 1 year. If Real Madrid's stance does change at the end of the season, they will want to recoup most of the money they paid for him, if not try and make a profit on him. That would mean that Arsenal will have to break the bank for a new midfielder for the second summer in a row if they want to sign Chouamini next year. As we wrap up today's Arsenal news, remember to stay tuned for daily updates right here on the channel. Don't miss out on the latest updates, so make sure to hit that subscribe button and give us a like if you found this information valuable. Your support means the world to us. Thanks for watching, and until next time, take care.